Good evening, friends. It's a great honor to be associated with the program which brings in valuable knowledge to banker friends about international banking, because the future of banking is international banking. We are living in a village now. It is a village of more than 8.5 billion people who depend on each other for almost every walk of life they lead. My respects to each one of you for sparing your invaluable time in joining this session. I know the appetite in you to be a great banker is bringing you all here, and we will, through Banking Quest, try to quench that thirst to maximum possible extent with sharing of whatever knowledge we have gained across while working in various banks. Friends, I say, ये सीढ़ियां उन्हें मुबारक जिन्हें छत तक जाना है। ये सीढ़ियां उन्हें मुबारक जिन्हें छत तक जाना है, जो आसमां को छूने की आरज़ू रखते हैं, उन्हें अपना रास्ता खुद बनाना है। Friends, for my non-Hindi speaking people, I will say that those who want to scale the skies have to carve out a difficult path. For them, these staircases are not adequate to rise in their life. They have to carve out a niche for themselves. And then Banking Quest would like that you partner us, you join us and scale those heights and become leaders in banking by doing international banking, which really and truly enriches the nation through various inputs which come in and various earnings that accrue. Friends, now to begin with, I will start with the history of banking, then how it converted into international banking, and then slowly into various infrastructure portals which are available now for various international banking accomplishments to be done. Now, let me begin with the very basic knowledge about round coins. See, the initial currency of international market was only coins. There were no currencies. And, in those earlier days, only when we had Iron Age civilization, we used to only have, some coins. Now, international trading was also done in coins. People used to carry bags full of coins. Earlier coins were all round because it was very easy to mint them. Even today, you will find that most of the coins world over, including rupee, dollar, or euro, they are all circular coins because the round shape is less likely to wear down, since no part of it sticks down or can be broken. And there is also a metaphorical statement that the coin should be round because it has to roll from one pocket to another, so that the prosperity touches and kisses all the human beings who interact through trading. The earliest international trade was also centered around making arbitrage. I will explain to you what exactly is arbitrage. Initially, when the trading had conceptualized, the Greek and the Romans and the Egyptian civilizations were ruling the roost. They were the world leaders. So they were the original pioneers of bringing coins. And suppose some trade happened and a Greek coin held more gold than an Egyptian coin due to its size and weight, then merchants used to trade in a way that left with them more of Greek coins because the Greek coin had more gold content. While paying, a trader used to exchange currency in a way that he will ask for a coin which was having more gold, which was having more value, and then he will return those coins which were having less value, and by exchanging this he used to make out what is called as arbitrage. Arbitrage is a very important word to understand in international banking, because as we go forward in our 24 lectures, we'll be referring to this word arbitrage in a very big way. In fact, arbitrage is what we do the international banking for. Arbitrage means a profit. It occurs when an investor can make a profit from simultaneous sale and purchase of a commodity in two different markets. I'll just explain. Suppose today a pound sterling is worth $2 in the Japan market and also worth $2 in UK market. In Japan, suddenly the oil bills of Saudi has to be retired and billions of dollars are required. So suddenly the demand of dollars will go up. In Japan, a dollar will become, a pound sterling may get you only $1.90 or $2.10. So the market at UK may not be so heated up, because there is no pressure on that particular day to clear off any outstanding oil bills. So those people who are expert in this and who have the sense of timing, they will buy dollars in UK market because there it is cheaper, and sell in Japan market on the same day. Within few minutes they will make 10 pips. So this profit is called as the arbitrage, and international banking revolves around making all the arbitrage only. And that is where today we found out that RBI gave almost 1 lakh crore rupees as dividend to Government of India. It was basically out of this arbitrage which RBI earned out of the forward dealings in Forex. Now let us just go back a bit and find out the basic evolvement of the trading and international banking. You will recollect in 1495, Vasco da Gama, he actually set out for finding out the great nation who at that time called as Sone ki Chidiya, India, because of its muslin, its jewels, its condiments and various valuable natural things which India had. So he came here, and with his arrival into India, in fact he died also in India, he linked Europe with Asia. At the same time, in 1495, Columbus also set his sailings and he wanted to come across the ferocious seas and find out India again for all the richness it had. But to his luck or fortune, he landed up discovering America. He landed up in US rather than in India. And thereby he linked Europe with the Americas. Now these two people laid the real foundation of international trading. And international trading could flourish only because of the strong backing of what is called as international banking. Now it had also very modest beginning. Initially, you will not believe that the temples were the banks. In those days, people had some gold coins or some precious metals. They had very little security in their homes. So they used to go and hide in the basement of various temples some gold. Slowly, they started disclosing to the priest that they have kept a particular amount of gold or coin in the basement of the temple. And then they said, suppose a person comes who wants to, avail that gold coin for trading or business or his livelihood, you give him. And after some days, you take this coin plus something more, a smaller coin. So this third party trust given to a priest who was, rated as honest, dignified, dependable, person of integrity, truthfulness, and righteousness. So those things, when he interacted as a middleman between the person who owned the gold and the person who wanted the gold, the practice of banking started. That is why each one of you is supposed to be a banker with good character, good integrity, because people slog hard, work hard, and bring their hard-earned money in our custody. So bankers are rated very high since beginning days. Now, during the World War II, the international trade was mostly done on barter system. What is barter system? Exchanging goods for goods, because the currencies had not established. There were no, inter-currency exchange rates. So people used to exchange, say, arms with muslin. Dhaka, silk used to be given by India. At that time, Dhaka was part of India. And, we used to, import some iron and steel from abroad, or machines. European countries by that time had started using pro notes. Pro notes were the, sort of acknowledgement of debt signed by kings or their finance ministers, who will say, okay, on such and such date, we'll pay you off. Some of them were honored, some of them were not honored, but people were started, taking risk. Instead of barter, they started accepting pro notes. And then most of the transactions at that time were bilateral, like you and me were doing. We were not, asking third party, which now is called as bank, to arrange, a buyer or issue a letter of credit in his favor. I do not know him, he doesn't know me, but we know the bank. And through bank, we used to transact. Those sort of transactions were not there. Then started a very serious effort to, create a sort of an exchange mechanism between the currencies of the world. It was in Bretton Woods, which is a small place in United States, in 1945, that a real international forex market took shape. There, a value was given to every currency against US dollar. Like US dollar at that time was very strong. If you recollect, in the First World War and Second World War, the only winner who remained unscathed was United States. And, they were supplying massive amount of arms to Europe, to Asia, to Africa to fight. They made a lot of money. And at one stage, 75% of the gold holdings were with the United States. So as such, the dollar was the leading currency. So in 1945, Bretton Woods, the countries decided to link their currency with dollar. But then there was a conditionality put on US that for every dollar, they should maintain gold. And every 1 ounce, that is 28.35 grams of gold, would be equal to US dollar 35 at those days. That means a US dollar at that time was worth 1.23 grams of gold. That means if I go and return $1 to United States, I am eligible to get back 1.23 gram of gold in return. And US maintained that honor till 1971. A lot of countries started misusing this facility, and US continued to bleed, because a lot of surpluses started generating once the dollar became a stronger currency. The exports from US came down. As Shankaran just explained, if currency becomes costlier, your exports go down. If your currency becomes weaker, then your exports go up, because a lot of countries find more goods in return of less of currency remitted to us. So at that stage, United States kept on honoring to two countries, especially the France and the UK, where, because of the extreme growth in the value of US dollars, the currencies of UK, that is pound sterling, and French currency, these currencies, they became slightly cheaper. So the exports of these countries grew up, and they again started indulging in what is called as arbitrage, started taking dollars. And then the surplus dollars, they started dumping on the US treasury and taking gold. So that made the US a bit jittery. At the same time, there was war in Vietnam, which US nearly lost. It really, lost huge amounts. So in this stagflation of 1970 and near defeat in Vietnam War made US to delink gold from currency. In 1971, The gold reserves compared to entire world in US came down to 22%, not because their reserves had gone down very drastically, but because a lot of new gold mines were discovered because of the machinery and various type of innovations which came up to extract gold world over. So this system was abolished, and now there is no more linkage between gold and currency of any nation. In 1972, gold was totally delinked from paper currency, and the concept of financial discipline, forex futures, and the policy of control over economy, fiscal discipline, monetary policy management, these concepts which are in exercise today, they started protruding on the World Economic Forum, and people started exercising a lot of control on the value of currency. And those countries, especially at the time of independence, like countries like Japan, which are far, far ahead than us, or as Shankaran was telling, China, which has become such a strong country currency-wise now. These countries, they introduce the monetary policies, they introduce the fiscal controls, and their currencies have gone up. Unfortunately for us, with the population being so high, we could not control the quality of our products, and our money and attention was diverted to feeding the millions of masses. And we became entirely dependent for two basic things, that is gold and oil, on imports. And whatever we till today are earning is going towards meeting the bill liabilities of oil and gold. Forex markets, they really need strict fiscal discipline to maintain the value of a currency. With the advent of internet, this Forex market is now the biggest international market because it works 24/7. Suppose today you have to catch a 2:30 night flight to London. You will go to the airport and you will find a currency seller, at the gate of the airport, and he's doing it online. He's getting the rates online. So when it is 2:30 here, it is already morning in Australia and New Zealand. So when you reach there, it's almost afternoon. So the currency markets, they work 24/7, unlike the other markets, the stock market, which work for fixed hours. So the monthly trading has crossed an unbelievable amount of USD 6.6 trillion. 1 trillion is almost 73 lakh crores. So that is the value of this. That is why we have introduced this program through Banking Quest to make you catch up with what is really happening in international trade and international banking. If you become a part of it, you will feel elevated to next level of banking acumen. Now the currency, as you know, is fluctuating far and wide every day. Throughout the day, dollar fluctuates for more than 1,000 times. And the biggest risk today in world is called as currency risk, because if your currency slides down, then the value of your rupee, the value of the worth of your people will certainly come down. Before we proceed further, I will just take a small break for you and tell you a small motivational story. There was a conference going on and a speaker like me was speaking, and then he suddenly, pulled out a 500 rupee note from his wallet and showed it to the, audience and asked, what is it? Everybody said it's a 500 rupee note. To everybody's surprise, he just crumpled that note and, then again displayed it and then asked, what is it? They said, it is 500 rupee note. Then, he again, crumpled it and then put it down, put his foot on it, and then again brought it back. It was a bit soiled note, but then again, he displayed and asked, what is it? Everybody said, it's a 500 rupee note. See, the 500 rupee note, in whatever shape, in whatever pressure, in whatever challenging circumstances will always remain 500 rupee note. Through empowerment of knowledge, which we imbibe to you, we also want that you should not feel inadequate if you do not know much about foreign exchange or international banking, because it's a knowledge which you can, imbibe through reading, through experience, through working in the desk, asking for deputation to foreign exchange. So you should always feel that your value is intact. Sometimes knowledge may be less. So from Banking West, I request you to keep your motivation level high. Despite being crushed, crumpled, pushed, or vanquished, don't lose your heart, because your worth is always there as a banker. You have qualified the toughest examination in India, next to probably IAS, or maybe higher, more difficult than IAS, and become bankers. So imbibe knowledge and be a great leader in banking in India. Come back to Forex market, friends. Post 1947, we also became part of the Bretton Woods Accord, and till 1971 we had continued to link our rupee with the gold. At a particular stage in 1947, value of 1 rupee was 4.15 grains of gold. Grain. Kindly note that there is a distinction between the word grain and gram. 1 gram of gold is 15.43 grains of gold. So our value was actually linked to rupee, to gold, and from 1971 to 75, when dollar was dealing with gold, UK tried to hook up, because at that time we were too much dependent on UK also for our imports. So from 71 to 75, our rupee was pegged to pound sterling, and from 75 to 91, we again got pegged to US dollar, because US dollar became a predominant currency and it was accepted worldwide. Most of you will be surprised to note that there are more dollars outside United States of America than in America. Its currency's worth is so high that even if you keep it and forget it, it will only be going on appreciating, and you will not lose if you start encashing it, say, after a few years. Since 1992, we have been following liberalized exchange rate management system, where value of INR is fixed in relation to a basket of currencies. Now, RBI, as our regulator and protector of the value of rupee, intervenes by selling or buying US dollars to keep the value of INR under control. This is the present system which is going on. All of you must know that the value of rupee presently is monitored on day-to-day, hour-to-hour basis by RBI, and the efforts are to buy and sell if there is a scarcity or a surplus available for dollar, to maintain the parity between the international currencies. INR, unfortunately, has not been able to find the feet because of the developing economy we have, and INR is only partially convertible on current account, and it is not on capital account. Now, what exactly are current and capital account, gentlemen and ladies? This is one thing you must assimilate at this stage, because this is what is going to make you an international banker once you understand the subtle difference between current and capital account convertibility. Now, convertibility is the ease with which INR can be converted into a foreign currency. INR is convertible on current account. It can be exchanged at market rates for permitted purpose. INR remains capital account non-convertible. We cannot invest in foreign securities or buy in foreign markets with rupee. Prior permission of RBI is required to invest in foreign securities and bonds. And for making INR fully comfortable, we have to further tighten the fiscal deficit. The fiscal discipline has to be enhanced, and government debt has to be reduced. Friends, recently all of you must have heard that our forex reserves have crossed 611 billion US dollars. It's a great news. This is the 5th largest reservoir in the world now, and very shortly we might overtake Russia and become fourth largest. No, but point is, if you disseminate these forex reserves into current account and capital account convertibility, you will find that we are still deficit on current account. All that money which is in this $611 billion is mostly in capital account. People have word over, given us loans. We have borrowed from World Bank, international lending institutions. A lot of money has come into our stock exchange and, various other ways. So all that money has added to our balance sheet. It's a part of the capital account. Current account is what we export and what we import. Whatever is the difference in that is the current account. In fact, all these advanced countries like US, China, Germany, they have huge current account surpluses. That is why the currency is so strong. Today, if I go with a 100 rupee note in a market in Japan, people will only laugh at me. They will never touch that 100 rupee note. But if I go with a $100 bill, everybody will accept it happily. So because the current account should be, overflowing to enhance the value of rupee, only then people will recognize our currency. As such, when you work at your desk as bankers, please endeavor to mobilize for an account which is forex oriented, which is export oriented, because once you start doing this, it's a very simple exercise. It's only a small hesitation that keeps you away from forex. In fact, if you get up in the morning and go to refresh yourself, the first thing you use is a toothpaste. It contains mint, which is imported. Even the foil which is packed is packed in imported machinery. After that, you go for morning prayers in your temple, and there also the agarbatti you light has a fragrance which is imported. Then you board your car and start. The gearbox is imported, the oil is imported, and then you go to your office, take a lift. All the important constituents of a lift are imported. You sit in your cabin, switch on your AC, the condenser is imported. And throughout the day, you are peeping into WhatsApp, you are peeping into email, all those are imported. And similarly, the food you take, most of it, the stuff, the dal you take, the pulses you take, they are all imported. See, in fact, without knowing, we are so much dependent on international banking that not a moment we can live without it. As such, thinking that international banking is a subject to be dealt by specialists and I as an ordinary banker has nothing to do it is very wrong. All of you are daily encouraging international banking because of the consumption of these stuff. There is somebody who is dealing in payment mechanism and of import and export of these products. He is taking the responsibility. As a banker, you are also equally important to see that this import and export happens in a very, very congenial way, in a way that the country progresses further. Now, current account transactions, we'll just see briefly. These are imports and exports, foreign education, travel, visit for medical treatment, living expenses for overseas dependents. Suppose somebody lives outside, your child is studying there or your brother or sister is studying, whatever you want to send there, it is going through current account. Then suppose you have taken a loan. Loan itself is a capital account transaction, but when you have to service it, pay installment or you have to pay interest, then it becomes part of the current account transaction. Similarly, whatever you have invested after taking RBI permission in foreign securities or shares, that amount, the income on that is booked as current account transaction. Running through capital account transactions, opening a foreign currency account abroad is a capital account transaction. Investment in foreign shares, securities, bonds is again a capital account transaction. Bankers are issuing guarantees in favor of a foreign resident, then also it is a capital account transaction. And taking insurance policy from a company which is based outside India. See, we have almost 52 insurance companies in India, but if you still insist on taking insurance from Lloyd's, or if you are an exporter and you want an international insurance because your goods will be going to South Africa or far away, then if you take insurance from a foreign agency, then again it becomes a capital account transaction, and of course raising of foreign currency loans, on which we'll have a full scale topic in days to come. What are foreign currency loans, how they are availed. So raising of those foreign currency loans is also a capital. Now there are various initiatives and hedging, a sort of firewalling created by Reserve Bank of India and the Government of India to protect the foreign exchange sanctity and avoid misuse of smuggling of foreign currency. So various acts have been brought. Earlier it was FERA, now it is called as FEMA, Foreign Exchange Management Act, where they manage the international banking forex transactions. They also manage the global competition through various liberalization. We saw in 1991 how company liberalized, how forex was set free. Even today, you can send $250,000 abroad in a financial year, which is a huge amount. But all those things could not be imagined. Even for buying journal for $50 a month, we had to earlier take permission from Reserve Bank. And now $250,000 you can remit abroad without any questions asked. So that sort of liberalization has come. That is how we are empowering Indians to upscale their quality of life, upscale their knowledge, go abroad, settle abroad, learn good things and come back. The foreign FEMA also simplifies a lot of laws which were there in international banking, which we were all very, very scared of, and we were not implementing in India. And the main purpose of FEMA is actually to manage forex rather than regulate. It's not a police person. It's a banker. It's a helping mandate, which all of us must learn what exactly are its rules and regulations, and then at the forex desk guide customers that they should not be on the wrong side of law. Suppose he's carrying $25,000 in pocket while traveling by air, naturally he'll be violating FEMA. Suppose he has come back to India and he does not surrender the foreign currency within 6 months, if it is more than $2,000, then also he's sort of violating FEMA. All these things, small things, we have to guide to our customers so that they are not on the wrong side of the law. FEMA, as you know, has 49 sections. First 9 only if you study. You just take out a book on FEMA. First 9 you study, you will be more or less a master of forex, how it is dealt, what to do, what not to do. Remaining 40 are procedural and administrative sections. Then government has established what is called as Director General of Foreign Trade, DGFT. It is also a very proactive organization. It is a government arm to see overall international trade. Every Friday you have to send our returns. What are those? Those are returns which let the DGFT through RBI know that what all we have exported, what all we have imported, what is the deficit and what is the surplus. So through that only our value of our rupee is worked out. Suppose we continuously run deficits, naturally our rupee will be under pressure and we'll have to pay more rupees to buy dollars. Now the imports and exports are all monitored by DGFT. It is also a licensing authority for exporters and importers. All of you know, when a person comes and says, sir, I want to do import or export, he has to apply for an importer exporter code. DGFT issues that code, and it has the powers to curtail export. Suppose suddenly the cost of pulses in the Indian market shoots up, then they will say, okay, traders can import pulses. Suppose our harvest is good and farmers have brought in a lot of pulses and the prices are going down, then the DGFT takes a decision to stop import of pulses. So it monitors the demand and supply of particular goods in the country. Then of course all of us know Reserve Bank of India. It is a basically a currency issuer, a regulator which regularly monitors each bank's activity. But here we'll focus on what they do, especially in the Forex market. They control inward and outward remittances, the borrowings, especially the external commercial borrowings, the under the permitted route are now liberally permitted, but under the prohibited route, you have to go especially to them and then take a prior permission. If they permit, you can borrow. Then, if the foreigners want to invest in a particular company in India, or they want to buy an airline, or they want to enter the defense sector to manufacture arms, then this is the institution which lets them invest in through FDI or FFIs. Then, the value through basket of currencies with other currencies is also maintained and monitored by Reserve Bank of India. And the Forex reserves, which I just mentioned, of $611 billion, which we have, is also held by Reserve Bank of India, not in India. Not in India. See, Forex dollar you cannot keep in India. Dollar has to be kept in a dollar denominated bank in US. Similarly, SDRs, the special drawing rights. The gold also, part of the gold we have kept in England, not as a mortgage, but to show that you have real reserves, you have to be very transparent and you have to maintain in international banks of repute. So the Reserve Bank, monitors the reserves of gold, STRs, and foreign currency in various, like euro will be maintained in SBI Frankfurt, dollar will be in Citibank New York, and various other currencies will be in respective banks, which will be ultimately owned and monitored by RBI on behalf of Government of India. And then out of whatever activities Reserve Bank does, especially the Forex, maintenance of value of rupee, it sells dollars and buys dollars. In that process, it earns what is called as arbitrage. That Reserve Bank of India transfers in the shape of dividend to Government of India. I again come back to small motivation, friends. In Ramayana, you all remember Vibhishan, he was a sort of outlier. He did not agree with what Ravan did in bringing Sita, when she was alone. So he used to always have quarrels with his brother, and ultimately this boiled down into a fight, and Vibhishan was sent out of Lanka. He came to Lord Rama and fell in his feet and said, "Sir, I want to help you out to win this war. But I want to tell you one small thing, that my brother is a big warrior. He's been blessed with various sort of energies by gods. One arrow of his can dry a sea. Another arrow can make day into night. And his sons and brothers, they are massive warriors. And you two brothers are alone with few monkeys around. How will you get back your Sita? You don't have anything to really counter his strength." Lord Rama thanked Vibhishan and said that it is very gracious of you, Vibhishan, that you came and told me the secrets of Ravan. But one thing, in Ramayana, for the first time, Lord Rama comes in first person and speaks in terms of I. He says, "I firmly believe that a war is won in mind rather than in battlefields through weapons. A war is won through integrity, honesty, truthfulness, dedication, and passion. And I know I have all of them. And, with those qualities of character, Lord Rama defeated Ravan. And all of us, all the participants here are also enriched with all these qualities. Banking Quest wants that please call on those qualities. Get up at 5 a.m., join the 5 a.m. morning club, and whatever interests you, whether it is history, geography, forex, you just empower yourself, learn that, and not only become a good husband or a good father, become a good Indian, a good international citizen, so that your life really pays back to the world it has got. Friends, the other institution which has been established to facilitate the smooth operation of the international banking is FEDEX. Most of us call it FEDEX. Most of us must have gone through some or the other program of FEDEX. The important job of FEDEX is to announce daily currency rates. It is training international bankers in international trade. And then there are forex brokers. See, forex is a very technical line, and it is done in huge numbers, as I suggested. So there has to be an expertise bank available, and that bank has what is we called as forex brokers, who help initiate transactions, who guide the lenders, the dealers. So those licenses are also issued by FEDEX. Interbank forex disputes are there. Sometimes your LC was due on a particular day when there was a holiday, or there was a lockdown, or there was corona. So all those disputes, FEDEX listens and then finds out amicable solutions between the bankers. And the various guidelines of forex business are also laid down by FEDEX in consultation with the Reserve Bank and Government of India. And of course, it represents various banks to RBI and Government of India. Then the most important institution which you must study when you do export financing is ECGC. Now, ECGC is a great support system because it provides insurance to exporters. You do not know what the other guy is. You might have gone through various agencies or various credit verification agencies to learn about the person, but still there is always a doubt whether your money will come for the valuable exports you've done. So to enrich the confidence of the exporter, the various facilities which are made available through ECGC should be explained to each exporter who comes to you, and you should see that you avail maximum insurance coverage of ECGC to protect the interests of your customer. It also provides guarantees to banks, and of course it covers all the risks, and you can take cover for both pre-shipment and post-shipment finance, for which also we'll hold a full session. What exactly are the contours of pre-shipment and post-shipment finance, both in domestic currency, in forex, all that will be explained to you. And ECGC covers both these stages. Then there is a very important agency called ICC, now International Chamber of Commerce, which actually is an apex body to promote trade, services and investments worldwide. It lays down the ground ethical rules of what all can be done in international market ethically and within the framework of law. It actually, through all these guidelines, facilitates free flow of capital into international markets, and it formulates various international business rules. The international business rules have to be uniform, because you cannot export to Africa and then do not get your money, or you get your money in London. No, it should come back to my country, maybe to my country's account in London, but it should come back. So there are various ground ethics in which the international trade has to operate, which are enjoined by ICC. And all of you know, and all of you must go through, especially the fresh forex aspirants, that they come out with publication called as UCPDC and Incoterms, which are the basic groundwork for understanding and assimilating international banking. So please buy a booklet of UCPDC and Incoterms, and on Banking Quest you will have a long session on these also, where we will explain various doubts. Now, because of this regular export going on, some of the banks have become massive. Exports have brought in the biggest prosperity to China. You find the number one bank in India, the world is Industrial and Commercial Bank of China. Then US comes second, JP Morgan. Then third is Japan Post. Fourth is again China. And fifth comes Bank of America. Our country leader, State Bank of India, is ranked 55 in world. And within first 500, we have Punjab National Bank, Bank of Baroda, ICICI, HDFC is knocking, and so is Union Bank of India after merger. And in top 100 banks, China has 12, USA 10, and India only one, as you know, that is State Bank of India. Now, to actually, sort of a police the various lending activity, especially for imports and exports, to be at par in assessment of credit facility, there is a organization which has the name of Bank of International Settlement, established at Basel, Switzerland, on the border of Germany, which has come out with the 3 accords, which are called as Basel 1, 2, and 3, where the various types of risks which a banker faces while lending to ordinary credit or to international credit. So those accords are also very important, because they enjoin upon each banker to have a certain basic amount of capital to take on the various credit risk, market risk, and operational risks. About these risks, we have run a parallel program which most of you are attending, but of course we will be also deliberating on these risks in detail in one of the articulations which we'll be doing out of the 24 representations we will make for you. Now, each bank, as you know, is required to hold adequate capital to cover its risk-weighted assets. And through those capitals, the various type of risks are managed. So this is also an international body which helps international banking to do operations in a smooth way. Friends, international banking is the true service to nation. A country's worth is measured in terms of its forex reserves, including golds and SDRs. So more the international banking you do, more enrich becomes the country, more become its reserves of foreign currency, gold and SDRs. So as a banker, your first choice should be to learn credit, and credit, if you master, then you will have big proposals, because each big credit proposal will also have exposure on forex, because he will be either importing raw material from abroad or exporting, or he will be importing a big machinery from abroad for capacity enhancement. So once you pick up the basic tenets of credit, you will automatically plunge into forex and international banking. So tomorrow onwards, you have to work 10% harder and see that you reach the desk of a credit analyst, and then from there to forex expert. As a banker, we have to burn midnight oil to learn international banking to improve export finance. We must also motivate NRIs to remit savings to India to enhance our reserves. Which is the country which is getting maximum money of remittances? It is India. For the last 50 years, now even China has not been able to beat us. We were facing a concept of brain drain. When most of the MBAs we produced in Ahmedabad, Bangalore and Kolkata, they were going abroad. They were working as vice presidents of various companies. Now that brain drain has reversed and created fortune for India. Last year, the figures which were vetted by RBI, we were number one, $75 billion worth of foreign remittances has come back to India, as against an export of only 360 billion. We have sent goods and got money 360 billion. We have not sent any goods, but our Indians who are now 2 crore and 65 lakhs outside India, they start remitting money. And that money has become $75 billion, the largest in the world. So while sitting at any desk in banking, kindly see that NRI business is also encouraged. For that, understand what is NRI, for which also we'll explain you in our next classes. So NRI people have to be encouraged, because that brings in a lot of forex without much of effort of doing documentation for exports and all that. So friends, international banking is the topmost service of banking, which can not only change you, your knowledge bank, but it can also change your bank, your society and country. I will conclude with a small story. Friends, Lord Shiva has been very magnanimous, and he is the creator and he is the destroyer, the biggest one. At one of the meetings, when Lord was giving favors to people who were suffering, a small frog has come, and frog has introduced himself as the king of the pond, the pond which was in the Kailash hills. He said, sir, I am a king of that pond, and I have got about 3,500 smaller frogs under me. But I am facing a problem that these frogs, they have become very naughty. They make noise in the night when people are sleeping. And whenever a human is passing by, they pounce on him, jump on him and harass him. And, a lot of things are happening which are beyond my control. Please help me. So Lord Shiva said, I never knew that even a frog has problems. Okay, let me help you. So he immediately, took out his trishul, the trident. And the trident is an intelligent trident, He said, you take this and you scare those naughty frogs, and they will start behaving. This frog, the king frog, took that trishul and put it and flashed it across, and a lot of sanctity and discipline came into the frogs. They, for few days, they were not creating nuisance. But after a few days, they became friendly with the trishul, and then started, going around it. And then on the damaru, which Lord Shiva had also put on that trishul, they started, playing on it, and became indisciplined again. So this guy came back to Lord Shiva with trishul and returned it and said, sir, I could not, actually use this to a good effect. You help me further, because I'm really, pressed for discipline. So Lord Shiva, immediately saw Nandi, Nandi, which is always sitting next to Lord Shiva, and said, Nandi, you go there and you take a couple of rounds around the pond, and you fire these naughty frogs, and see that the discipline comes in. So Nandi used to take rounds and make noise, and then the frogs used to get scared. But unfortunately, in every round, because of the heavy legs, a lot of frogs used to come below the leg and die. So every day, some 30, 40 frogs were dying, which was also not acceptable to the king of frog. And he came back and said, sir, Nandi bhi effective nahi hai. Then, Lord Shiva smiled, and then, immediately removed Vasuki. Vasuki is the snake around Lord Shiva's neck, and told Vasuki, swimming also. So what you do, you go to the pond and bring some discipline, help this, king of frogs. So Vasuki went there, a lot of discipline was brought in, because it used to go deep and, behave, some sanctity into the frogs. But after a few days, a lot of silence and lull was noticed by the king, and he found that a lot of frogs were missing. And then noticed that every time in breakfast, in lunch and dinner, the Vasuki used to eat out 10, 20 frogs. So even that was not acceptable, and he came back to Lord. And Lord smiled, and Lord said, Ki, if I have tried to help you 3 times and still you are feeling helpless, then it is not the providential help which is lacking, it is something lacking inside you. Friends, through this forum, we want to tell you that if international banking is away from you, it is only because it is lack of interest in you, which is, or some fear of international banking, or some unknown fear about dollars and foreign currencies, which is keeping you away from becoming an international banker. My request is that don't be scared of this. Read, and then you will find that international banking is as easy as the day-to-day banking you do. I will only stop with the final words. I will say that कौन है जिसमें कमी नहीं है, कौन है जिसमें कमी नहीं है, आसमां के पास भी तो जमीन नहीं है. So friends, if you have small fear or inadequacy about Forex, just forget, start learning and be a good banker. Thank you very much.